BookTube, it's Jackie. How's it going? If you're new to me, it's the first time you're seeing my face, hello, what's up? My name's Jackie. I sit on my floor and I talk about books. So that's why you're here, because that's what's gonna be happening today. If you are not new to me, thank you for always tuning in, the continued support. I really do appreciate it. So today for you, I have my weekly wrap up. This is from February 26th through March 4th. Yeah, March 4th, and all my reading shenanigans in between. So I have got some interesting things to talk about this week, and I will also be announcing the book that won the poll from my March TBR to get a full book review at the end of the video. So without further ado, grab yourself a drink, have yourself a seat, let's get talking some books. Okay, so the first book that I completed this week was Bride of the Corpse King by Emily Shore. This is the pick for February from my TBR poll. So there is a full book review coming up. It will be coming up this week. I'm not for sure what day I have it scheduled to upload. I'll have to check, but it is already filmed and it's uploaded. It's just being scheduled to release. So it is there. It is there. I got it done, guys. I got it done. So there will be a full book review, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it here. We do have a very loose Hades and Persephone retelling with this book, and we do have triggers for a body scarification, partial necrophilia. Yeah, that's a thing. Fetal termination, graphic sexual content that includes attempted sexual assault on page, dubious consent, minor BDSM practices, and we do feature FF romances, MF romances, and then MFM in a spiritual sense romances, and we'll get into that. A brief summary, we follow Isla and Alistair, along with Arian Carrick, the god of death that inhabits Alistair, who was the Corpse King. Isla is a farm girl who's found on the edge of the void, which is kind of where all the nasties live, and she has entered this kind of underground gambling hall and used the name of a major royal who's kind of a douchebag named Connaught. Connaught has found out that she's used his name to get into this underground gambling hall, and goes and tries and claims her because, you know, she used his name, so therefore he naturally owns her. That's this guy's mindset, okay, guys? She flees and gets caught in a library of sorts, and the skull-faced man here we see here saves her, and that happens to be the Corpse King. She realizes, though, that she is not safe from Connaught, so she does the ultimate and volunteers to be the Corpse King's bride, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but except the fact that every bride has died, because the Corpse King is cursed by the god of death, Arian Carrick, who reaps the souls of every bride he takes. So once she is volunteered to be the bride of the Corpse King, that's when our story really sets off. And then we go into this very lethal seduction of Alistair and the god of death. This is a whirlwind of a story. It is definitely one you have to pay attention to, but I had a really, really good fucking time with it. A little bit about what worked. Again, there will be a full book review on this, so there will be more. I'm just going to tell you a little bit about it right now for somebody who doesn't want to watch the book review, but if you would like to, it will be linked here when it gets uploaded. And also in the down box below if you like more further in depth of everything that I'm talking about. We have multiple plot lines going on in this story, and they are done really, really well. But the cool thing about these plot lines is you're not really aware that they're going on until the revelations of those plot lines, and then you start seeing all the pieces that you missed. It was really unique how Shore did this. Shore also has beautiful writing. She has amazing prose in this book. I do read an excerpt from this book in that review, so go check that out if you like to see an excerpt of the book. We have excellent world building, very, very descriptive. I know where everything is placed, what everything looks like, and the way she describes the underworld is a very modern way, but it doesn't look very modern, but it feels like it, and it's so cool, and I want to go. It's so well described that I want to fucking go to this place. Like, I want to go. Buy me a ticket, because I want to go. Right now. Right the fuck now. I want to go. Very gothic in its description, gothic beauty, very dark, but in a very romantic, overly emotional way. It's stunning. Isla's character was on point. I loved her character. She was one of the coolest heroines I've read this year so far. She is strong, she's intelligent, she's manipulative, but not fucking people over manipulative. She manipulates situations to her benefit without fucking people over that don't deserve to be fucked over. Really, really important about that. And she's also a very loving character. We see a lot of scenes in this book where she gives of herself because she is not a normal girl. She can grow thorns and flowers from her body. So knowing this, we know that when she becomes the bride of the Corpse King, she is not going to be handling this the same way as everybody else. And all of these facets you get to see come through after the promise has been made that she will be the bride. And every single facet of her is stunning. It is elaborated on, it's described in great, great detail and great ways. And so you fall in love with Isla's character very, very quickly. I had a great time with her. Another thing that worked was the ending. This is a cliffhanger ending because it is the first installment to a series. The series name is Twisted Myths Book 1. There currently is not a second installment released at this point in time, which makes this ending really cool if you're reading for a series element, but if you're reading it just as a standalone, this ending kind of blows. So it's one of the things that works and doesn't work. So I'm really hoping Emily Shore gives a second book to justify this ending because this ending is dope for a cliffhanger. But if I never get a sequel, well, shit. It's one of those. Which brings me to what didn't work. This ending for a romance, it's a total letdown. We do have an HEA in this book, but it's not the HEA you think. And the HEA that we do get, we don't get enough build up to really quite appreciate that HEA at the end of the story. So that's where the letdown kind of comes in. And I was kind of put off by that, but I'm fingers crossed I'm going to get a second book. Fingers crossed. I'm holding on to that. The point of views. This is a multi-POV book, but because we have Aaron Carrick, the god of death, actually inhabiting Alistair, like his body, his soul, his spirit will kind of come into Alistair's body. During some emotional scenes, we do get this bleed over of emotions from Alistair and Carrick. They start to blend together, which is one of the beautiful elements of his character, but at the same time, it makes for some scenes quite difficult because it's bam, bam, and you have to remember who you're reading, and you have to remember the tone that each character speaks in. And so that makes it a little bit confusing, but once you figure it out, it's really easy to get through. It's just, if you're not expecting that, it's a little like, the fuck? What? Okay, well, that's fine. Cool. Sure about that. And it makes for the super sexy fun times a little bit more intense. So, which brings me to our spice rating, which I gave this a 3 chili peppers because we've got some graphic sexual content and we've got this unique, partially decomposed sexual element. One of the elements of this Curse of the Corpse King is that he's half decomposed. So he's half skeletal. And it seems like Isla's all about loving on the skeletal side. So we get some really interesting skeletal penetration scenes, which are really erotic in a very dark and twisted, creepy kind of fucking way. I'm not, they are great and they are spicy, but they're kind of weird. They're kind of weird. Like, I just picture a skeleton hand doing some shit, and I'm kind of like, I'm wondering in my head, how the fuck would that feel? Like, would it poke? Would it hurt? Would you hear the clicking of the bones? I don't know. I don't know. These are the things that go through my head, guys, when I read decomp sex scenes. But they were a good time nonetheless. They were very steamy, very emotionally driven because Alistair is a bleeding heart romantic and he is slightly something of a masochist. After she has promised herself to be the bride, he goes about doing what he normally does. He makes the bride hate him because he has a year to consummate this marriage. So he makes the bride, he does something so crazy that will effectually make this woman hate him, and then attempts to make her re-fall in love with him before the year's up. So he is a bleeding heart masochist for sure. But in his mind, he's trying to extend their life just a little bit longer and have some more time with them because he knows what Kirik's going to do. But in Isla's case, Kirik is so mesmerized and spellbound by her that he's just like, is she? Is she not? Really? Maybe, maybe not. A lot of intrigue on this, and then definitely you have the cool spirit sexual experiences, which are pretty fucking dope. I'm not gonna lie about it. They're pretty intense, and I like them a lot. So I did give this book, I gave this 3 stars, 3.5 stars, 3.5 stars. I had a great time with this, so thank you guys for choosing this to be the full book review. So you will get that. It will be linked in the down box below and up here in the corner, as I said earlier. It will be going up this week, so do keep your eyes peeled for it. And to whoever gifted this to me, I know I say this at every video it comes up, thank you. Thank you so much for gifting this for me. It has been on my wish list for a long time, and I just never got around to buying it. And then when you purchased it for me for a Christmas present, I had no idea that you were be gifting me something that was so unique and so special. So thank you very much for whoever gifted this to me at Christmas. I really do appreciate it. I really wish I knew who you were. But if you want to remain anonymous, I completely understand. But thank you again for this. I will cherish it forever. Thank you. All right, I'm back, guys. Sorry, my battery died. I had to plug you guys back in. So I was about to tell you, before my battery so rudely cut out, I'm blaming the phone, not my lack of putting it on a charger, just so you know. The next book I completed this week was Shadow of Theron by Kathryn Troy, and it looks like this. Kathryn actually reached out to me via Instagram and asked me to give an honest review of this book. So there is a full book review out already. I will link it up here. But I'm going to go over just a few things about it. But if you like a more in-depth review of this story, please go check out the review. It'll be linked there and in the down box below. So this is the first installment of the Age of Shadow series by Kathryn Troy. She is not a debut author. She has other novels out there, but this is the first installment for this series. And this is an adult fantasy series, and we have triggers for murder, sexual content, graphic body horror described on page. We have some minor LGBTQ representation in this book. And this is my very first Mask of Zorro retelling. Holy shit, was I shocked when I saw that. That was dope as fuck, because when I got the summary, I didn't see anything resembling Zorro. When I saw this cover, I was just like, oh, I really like this mask element. I'm kind of getting Phantom of the Opera vibes. You know, I did not think masked vigilante bandit. I was not seeing that. Definitely, that's exactly what I got, but it's Zorro with fucking magic, people. It is Zorro with magic, and I was all for it. I had a great fucking time with this. I gave this thing 4 stars. Fantastic. I had a great time with it. A little bit about this. We follow Lysandro, who is our Shadow of Theron, and some holy relics from the previous war of Theron himself have gone missing, and they're being stolen. And they are being collected to bring back Argos, who is who Theron was fighting in the first place. And the Lysandro, who you learn very quickly early on is the Shadow, is going up against this corrupt magistrate, Merrick. And we find out that Merrick is more than what he seems. But while all this is going on, we have this romance budding between Seraphine and Lysandro. And Seraphine, who we think is going to be this little damsel in distress, is not that at all. She is a knife-wielding, male-playing actress who was sent off to boarding school and got the education, not of a boarding school of a societal expected woman, but more of like the coolest fucking badass you've ever met in your entire life. Seraphine holds her own through his entire story. Lysandro holds his own through his entire story. And the cool thing about Lysandro is we also get 2 personalities. We get the Lysandro and then we get the Shadow of Theron. But both personalities are so opposite but have similar enough traits that you can still tell that they're the same person. And I love how they weave this through. And then while all this is going on, we got 2, what did she call them in the story? 2 priestesses that are going around. One's like a warrior, one's like throws ruins and can read stones, collecting all of these relics and trying to find them, and then they all kind of converge. And it's fucking dope, okay? This thing was a fucking blast. I had such a good time with this. A few things that worked. The plot, all the multiple plot points were wielded very, very well. The only issue I had with the multiple plot points is that I feel like some of them were not dropped. None of them were dropped, but there wasn't enough emphasis on some of them that I felt should have been. And that may be because it is a first installment, but I felt like some of those plot points were really, really important and need just a little bit more attention to them. The Zorro references were spot on. If you're familiar with the Legend of Zorro at all, you will appreciate all of these references down to the fucking horse, okay? Just a little tidbit. Zorro's horse's name was Tornado. Lissandro's is Hurricane, and they both have a very special bond with each of their horses, and it's definitely seen throughout the story. And I just thought that was chef's kiss on that one, because that was one I was really hoping. Once I figured out that this was a Zorro kind of retelling, the horse one was like, I need the horse one. I need it, because Tornado is a big facet of that story, of that legend, for sure. Now, with all these Zorro references, she still made the story her own. After we get kind of the idea of what's going on, then we start introducing all these magical elements, and you're just like, wait, what? This is fucking cool. This is so cool. We have a sword, we have some keys, we have some stone, we have a bow and arrow, and there was another relic that was going around that we mentioned. We're collecting all these pieces. So not only do we have this political intrigue with Lissandro and Merrick, we also have this magical intrigue with the priestesses and the relics, and the trying to prevent this big war from rehappening again or occurring again. It was fantastic. I loved our hero. Our hero was awesome. Our heroine was awesome. The characters in this were great. I had really zero problem with any of the characters. So yeah, and the twist ending. What the fuck, man? What? Where the fuck that go? Like, seriously, it is not where you think it's going to be. There is a twist, and once you know the twist, you're like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense what the twist is. It's where she puts the twist. I was like, what? Okay. It's not where I thought was going to happen, which is one of my main problems with the book, which was one of my main concerns with a few things that didn't work, is that the main twist gets introduced with new characters. And these characters we have no back reference with at all. And I just felt I felt it would have had more, I mean, it's very impactful. I just felt it would have been more impactful if I would have had some kind of references with these new characters. But maybe we will, in the second book, get more influence with them. And another issue I had with this book was that the big final climactic fight scene, it just happened way too quickly. In all the other fight scenes, I had more drawn out. I had more give and take. I had more grit on both sides. I had falling back, strategy based on both sides. And the last one, it was more of like a foregone conclusion that it was going to happen this way. So I felt like we should have extended that big fight scene out just a little bit more. There is a spice rating for this book. I gave it 2 chili peppers. We have graphic sexual content, and we have Seraphine definitely owning her sexuality, and we have her 2 friends owning their sexuality, and with our LGBTQ representation. This is definitely, it's not a very smutty book, but the graphic content in there is very, very well done, and it is very, very positive. It's positively portrayed in a very, very cool way, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I just love Seraphine's character in it. I loved her in the sex scenes. I just loved how she said, fuck it, I'm doing what I want, and this is me. This is me. You don't like it, get fucked. I loved it. I loved her a lot. But please go check out that full review. It is up and going, and it will be linked in the down box below, and it was linked up in the card earlier. And the next book I completed was this guy, The Resurrectionist by E.B. Hudspeth. Now, this will also get a full book review, as this was my viewer recommendation book for February, so I am working on the full book review. But I'm going to be perfectly honest, I have no idea how to fucking review this book, because why? The first part of it is only like 50 pages, and then the rest of it is just these drawings that the guy in our book wrote. So it's going to be very interesting to review this book. So this review might be a little bit coming because I have to figure out actually how to review it. But essentially what this is it's a series. It's almost like a biography of Dr. Spencer Black, but it does include a lot of letters and journal entries, and it's essentially the descent of a madman. We have Dr. Spencer Black, who goes into the medical profession, and he has this idea. He enjoys the abnormalities of the human body and how they come about, and he starts off fixing them. Fixing them. But then his mind, because the way he thinks, to be able to fix something to be what it should be, is he really fixing it? Or is he altering it in his mind? Because in his mind, he sees it as, this was not a malformity. This is, or an abnormality. This is normal. This is the body creating something it's already known. So he believes this is re-evolutionizing. So instead of evolutionizing, changing something, this body is going back to something that it's already known. So like history repeating itself. And so he gets stuck on this idea that a girl who comes in with an extra arm that's kind of fused to her other arm is the body saying that this was a way of her trying to create wings. Because at one point in time we had wings, or we were descended from a creature that had wings. And so our body cannot produce or create something that it doesn't know. And it's really kind of a cool philosophy. I'm not gonna lie. When I read that, I was like, all right, it's pretty dope. That's pretty freaking cool. And then it gets more dark, because now instead of going off that thesis, then he finds, he basically goes to what looks like a freak show at a circus, an oddities, a Curium of Oddities kind of show. And he finds a preserved body of what he calls the Fawn Boy. The Fawn Boy has a degenerative disease that caused his leg bones to form backwards. So his knees, instead of bending forward, they actually bend backward like a fawn. And he pays money for these remains. And then he starts slowly dissecting them and drawing them out. And I'll show you this picture, because this is pretty dope. All right, let me get to it. Because we also have a lot of these drawings and artwork. So here is the drawings from the Fawn Boy, as you can see. And then he drew the tendons and the muscles, and then when he removed the muscles and everything, he would draw the bone. So as he's flailing this cadaver, he is drawing the remnants. And he starts learning that way. And he starts theorizing and publishing papers, and the medical community thinks he's a fucking whack job. So they pretty much discredit him. But he will not let go of this. And so, in a way, this is kind of the creation of the doctor from the Dr. Frankenstein. This is creating Dr. Frankenstein, except Dr. Frankenstein was wanting to create the living. This Spencer Black doesn't want to create a living thing yet. He wants to understand why living things are doing what they are doing. And then as he reaches further into this descent of madness, he starts believing that he can regenerate. He can actually recreate these creatures, such as in his Codis, the Canis Hades. He could recreate this. And so he starts taxiderming animals together. And then he starts working on the living. And then he does some like Full Metal Alchemist shit and fuses some people to fucking together and creatures together and makes a chimera, basically. And it's a very slow, weird, creepy descent in madness, but it's fucking awesome. This was great. I just have no idea how I'm going to review this book. So it might be a while before you see the review, but definitely had a really good time with this. Very, very unique. Very, very unique. And the way it's told is very, very unique. And then you find out all the creepy, dark shit he's done with, like, his wife. Yeah. Yeah, that was... Let's put it this way. He believes that she was a fury at one point in time. And the things he does to her is just kind of, good on not actually knowing the good details. I can imagine myself. I feel like this is very reminiscent of like a Rob Zombie movie, and just in book form. And I had a good time with it. It was very, very fast read, but definitely unique, and you want to pay attention to it. And also, if you remove the dust jacket, it has this beautiful design on the front of it. And it's very, very stunning. So the whole book is definitely an experience in and of itself. Very unique, very, very unique thing. I had a very good time with this. So look for this review. Keep your eyes open for it, for sure. Okay. Now, that is all I completed this week, guys. So now let us find out what book won the poll for this month's TBR review, because I have no idea. I haven't even looked. I posted it and I just didn't look. So here we go. We're going to find out what it is. So let me go to my channel over here on my little laptop. Go to my community tab, and the winner is, with 71% of the votes, Deadly Gossip by Brittany Nicole. So this is the book that on my TBR that you guys will be getting a full book review for. This was actually my, this is the Smut Club book of the month for March. So I'm really excited that this one is actually the one that picked it. It was not the one I thought was going to win, but that's okay. That's okay. I always try to guess which ones you guys are going to go for, and so far I've been right twice. So it's all right. We'll go with it. But that's all I got for you guys today. Do keep an eye out for all those reviews. You will be seeing 2 reviews and a wrap-up coming up this week. So stay tuned for those. Keep your eyes peeled. You're going to be seeing a plethora of videos from me. So yeah, but that's all I got for you guys today, and I will see you guys all soon with another video.